Film companies like A24 have established this aesthetic cinematography, implementing lots of shadow and colorful lighting to establish an aesthetic look. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to get this look with a small footprint, being able to set up beautiful lighting in the span of 3 minutes. And I'll establish why this is important, but also other different lighting setups that you can do to get your films to look good, and how to shoot films with story first. As a solo filmmaker, and even when I work on bigger sets, I like to shoot with a small footprint. The bigger the footprint, the less time you have to allocate towards story. You're gonna be spending more time moving stands, perfecting lighting, looking at what looks the most cinematic versus what drives the story. And the current trend of aesthetic lighting with lots of shadow is one of the best ways to establish this. And in this video, I'm gonna be diving into a bunch of different lighting setups that I was able to achieve within the span of a few hours with one light, one actor, and be able to set them up in like 3 minutes. I just bought 2-piece fitted sheet for $15. This is going to be our secret weapon.
You look like you've done that before.
Actually, this is my first time. We'll just set this up on this little stand by using these clamps, like so. Stretch it out in the basement, and this will be our consistent shadow maker. I use the Zhiyun M20. This is this small little 20-watt pocket light that's the size of the palm of your hand that can be set up in seconds. It's RGB, so you can choose a wide array of different colors, go onto the app and choose whatever you want, but I like it because it uses magnets. Yeah! Magnets! Oh! You can click on your different filters, barn doors, soften it, and it all comes within the single package. So the first thing that we did was we shot in the basement of our new home. And my original setup was actually to get a light to blast through the window and to get like these nice light rays that looked really beautiful. But what ended up happening is I prioritized my fog machine for this to get light rays shooting in. That's so bright for a little pocket light. So the first trick with any sort of cinematography is it's getting your character off the wall. So let's bring you up just a little bit. And this will give Jackie a little bit better of a rim light. Do you need help? My fog machine was not working. Ready? Watch this. God damn it! So instead, I actually just grabbed the M20, magnetized it to our ductwork, had it spotted down onto Jackie, and just used that with some diffusion that I put in front of it. Action, wake up. Since we're gonna go to our close-up, I'm gonna try and crank the brightness on this. Take this doodad off so we get a lot more bright. Now with diffusion, we ended up just using a flag, but you can quite simply use a white bed sheet, shower curtain, or this newer bounce that I'll provide in the description below. And what this does is it softens the light. To show you the difference between the sort of soft light and harsh light from the M20, what I have is for my wide shot, I couldn't put the diffusion in, so I just use the light coming straight down on Jackie, which you get these harsh shadows. And then when we popped in to get in a little bit closer, I threw this diffusion over top, and it kind of emulated that soft look that movies like DUNE get. It's just using the small light. We put some barn doors on it to just angle the light a little bit better, and that is quite literally all it is. And it's like you hear people stepping upstairs. I like that. A golden rule with nice cinematic lighting is the closer your subject is to the diffusion and the further your diffusion is from the source light, the better it looks. Soft light looks so much nicer than harsh light, but it always depends on what you're going for. I really am a big fan of that nice soft wraparound that you get on a character's face. Sweet, great. I can't believe we're getting all this beautiful, just soft light. From this light magnetized up here, it's going through this little bit of diffusion, and that's it. What I find is when you shoot with lots of lights and lots of light stands, what ends up happening is whenever you try to get different coverage, you have to move everything around. Now, this isn't always the most optimal setup, just having one single light, but I find for these fast sort of solo shoots to get something beautiful, having one light that's sort of in the corner somewhere with a simple rig that you can just slide around makes it so much easier to get coverage. And coverage tells a story better than the best, most dialed in lighting. Sweet, cool, and now I'm gonna film your over the shoulder.
You scared me.
What, moving the thing?
Yeah.
They'll scoot back to that spot. So forward, forward. Here's something in the darkness. We've been able to shoot 360-degree coverage, so over the shoulders, POV shot, and a wide shot by just moving one stand around versus having to do like a bunch of different lighting moves. And even with our wide, we just took the diffusion out and it was just like this harsh spotlight. It looked great.
I just need an eye line because your body is right in
Oh,
front of
sorry,
mine.
past camera. Let's make it into those shadows. Let's see. Okay, sorry, camera went out of focus.
Okay, was that kind of weird?
That was perfect. No, that was amazing. All right, let's talk about the camera moves within this scene. We have our nice wide that kind of establishes it. Whenever you go into a space or you're shooting any sort of scene, the sort of rule book that I have in my head is wide, medium, close up. If you can just capture those three angles, typically you can tell a story, and the wide is your establisher or one that gives space, so gives your character, the environment, maybe something freaked them out, so we go to the wide. Your medium is usually of your character. What are they seeing? What's going on with them? So that's kind of grabbing this. And then your close-up could be a detail that you need to capture. In between those three shots, I was able to get my entire stories. Also, I gotta give kudos to my wonderful partner, Jackie. She really pushed herself in every movie that we've done, whether she's running in a red jumpsuit outside in the snow, being in our dark, dungy basement, rolling around in the dirt, or running through a futuristic sci-fi house. I truly admire her dedication to the craft, and these movies would not be what they are without her.
Babe,
Sorry.
Can I just have you, and then can you just turn your head slightly to my right? Okay. Keep your eyes a little sadder, but your body a little angry with a hint of sexual prowess.
Sounds very familiar. All right, let's talk about the gear, because obviously the camera is important for when you're shooting lower light cinematography, and this is really how movies have been able to shoot moodier with single source lighting. I use the Sony FX3 with the ISO. I think I got it up to about 2000 on this, so it just got a little bit of grain. And more importantly, I used the 24mm 1.4, so I cranked up the f-stop to as wide as I could possibly go. But you don't necessarily have to do this. The light that I was actually using overhead was only at 50% brightness, so I could have cranked the brightness up on the overhead light and used a lower f-stop or a lower ISO and gotten a similar looking image without needing all the fun bells and whistles that I had. But since I had those things available, I wanted to see what was this light like at minimal output and my camera at the optimal settings that I like to look cinematic. Hello, this is our second setup that we're doing, and what we're getting is actually some beautiful natural sunlight coming in through these windows. So to create some shadow, we're gonna be using our handy dandy bed sheets and putting them up along this side and hopefully creating some negative fill. Can you imagine every time I say negative fill, I'm actually saying it P-H-I-L, and it's like this really negative dude. Just gonna put negative fill over here. Negative fill.
It's a character you could play.
Negative fill. Here's why indie filmmakers need to implement dark, moody lighting more. It's because when you shoot in spaces, you typically don't get the best locations that you want. You're shooting at your friend's house or in your basement or your living room or whatever, and it's not a movie set. And movie sets have things like production design to make them look really good. When you're shooting at your house, you're just using what you have. And shadow can hide all of the things that you don't want people to see. This is like all the bounce that's coming across if you look at Jackie's face. But if we just take this black bed sheet and bring it across, it creates a little bit more definition on the right side of her face. White rooms are like the trend right now for homes, but they look the worst on camera, mostly because everything is bouncing light. If you're in a space that doesn't feel good, chances are it's because you have no texture or depth on your wall. This is me using their 100-watt light. It's the size of a notebook. I had it arced outside of the window to emulate window light. I used what was actually happening, getting inspired by that natural light, and just shot this through the window. The next cinematography tip to provide is shooting against light rather than with light creates more dimension because you're shooting shadow side. So always just try and get the shadow side, and you're already gonna get your character to pop out. So this is even if you're shooting within a white room. If there is bounce everywhere, try and just grab a bed sheet or that black sheet, create the negative fill that you need so that you're creating just some dimension within your character, and then get them off the background. So we've got this little light here. We're gonna put it to emulate some extra sunlight. Now I could directly hit her with this, but I might wanna diffuse it off the wall here. I found some cool reflections in the laundry machine. I think this might be cool. Now our next setup is sort of evening light. I saw that now that the sun had set, we kind of were getting a bit of a blue hour. So to create like an orange teal evening look, I put the light inside our lamp that I got from IKEA. I changed the sort of light setting. And the nice thing about having an RGB light that can fit inside a lamp versus using a regular bulb is that you can change the brightness, the color temperature, and if you're lucky with these M20s, you're able to actually change the color. Feel that this actually isn't giving enough boost, so I'm gonna take off this honeycomb grid. That sounds really tasty.
Would you like a little honeycomb grid? Yes, little sweetheart. Come on, take a bite. Take a bite. No, take a bite.
Okay, that just happened. I feel so bad for Matt, who is the behind-the-scenes videographer and a good friend of ours. He's a genius when it comes to on these sets, and we get so comfortable that we forget that he's even there. A wonderful dude. Take a look at Matt Azzarello's Instagram and YouTube below. Absolutely phenomenal filmmaker.
How long will this go? I don't know. Maybe it's just my face I show. Till I die. Wi-Fi, she's dead.
Wi-Fi, she's dead. That was really good. So I'm shooting this from 2 angles. This is with the practical in the shot. Now you can see the charger and everything, which kind of makes it feel a little dumber. But if we were actually shooting this for a real movie, we wouldn't have the charger coming out of the lamp and we just have it unplugged. But for now, you can kind of see just like what shooting against the light looks like. And then if we go with the light, and rotate the camera around, going for that kind of blue, orange, teal vibe, we get something that looks like this. Maybe we put the light in the shot. Ooh, that feels nice. And the light might be coming off a little bit hot now. So we can lower the brightness because we've got our RGB light in here. Woo! If it's something lighter hearted, you don't always want shadow and mood. Sometimes you want to see the light side of the character. So depending on what that is, you can throw a practical into your scene, implement that into your shot, and show the audience that there's nothing to hide here. And we don't always have to be super moody and cinematic. And even going by the A24 rule, they don't always shoot shadow. It always just looks like a pretty image, but it's just the cheat code to make things faster. I got inspired by this one A24 film that had this like cool red light. So I'm taking this light, I'm gonna put it into my shower here, and then use my shower curtain as diffusion. I had this idea, I was like in the shower, I'm like, wait, can't I just use this curtain as diffusion for one shot? We'll close this over, now watch what this does. Is it bright enough?
Yeah, it looks cool.
Without him, I feel
Excuse babe. Babe! Jeez! Jesus, babe.
When I lose my way, I close my eyes and he has found me.
Now the final setup that we did with using this one little pocket light is I just stuck it onto the railing for our curtain and then just put it into like this teal color, bouncing straight down on Jackie. The little honeycomb grid's on there to soften it. Basically what you're gonna do, babe, is you're just gonna walk and just get to this spot here. Having the light at a bit of an angle looks way better than having it directly underneath. This was to emulate moonlight from outside, and what this also provided us is a little bit of light so that when I shot outside, I was able to get some depth on Jackie. Now, if I were to shoot this scene again, I got her to turn the window or the light on in the hallway. I didn't like the look of it. I wish I had that off and just had more shadow, or maybe I would have put up a second light in the background. But overall, this can show you what minimal footprint light does. Now, these pocket lights that Zhiyun provided, while they did sponsor this video, I do just want to share how important it is to experiment with small footprint lighting and just small footprint film sets. There's this idea that we need to overcomplicate the process to make a better looking image, but at the end of the day, the better image is actually seen through the better story. And from working with award-winning cinematographers and people who've been in the industry for a really long time, the best ones are the ones that put story first and figure out the lighting that can work around the workflow of being on set. And when you shoot movies in, let's say, your YouTube setup or you're doing a commercial stuff, yes, spend hours on perfecting that image because, of course, the brand needs that. The style of filmmaking that I've championed for my entire career is hybrid, blending documentary with YouTube and a splash of traditional narrative, creating epic films that I'm so proud of, but being able to do them for budgets that aren't millions of dollars. In fact, it's just what pocket change I have available and using what's around me. And this is honestly the best way to get stories out of your head and onto screen. There are so many limitations with the filmmaking process, whether it's gear, budget, location, actors, and I've decided to say f that and just go down the path of making movies with friends, family members, or whomever I've got around me and spaces I've got around me, because I just want my stories to get told. And if you want to make stories and get them out on screen with the quality to which you saw within this video, I know it's not perfect, but it looks pretty cool, then I recommend taking a look at my course, the 4-Week Filmmaker, which dives into the small footprint filmmaking I like to call hybrid. Because at the end of the day, stories need to be told, and perfectionism is the enemy to completion. So if you just want to get something completed and make that film to send to festivals, to maybe make your next feature film, to build out your collaborator list, I cannot recommend enough to just make the damn movie. Filmmaking is overwhelming. It's expensive and time-consuming and feels like you need a million connections just to get anywhere. Not to mention, once you've gotten past all the gatekeepers, you also need one of the most important things, a dynamic story that sells. But what if there was a way around all of this? What if filmmaking could be easier? After decades of making films, I realized there's a cheat code that no one is talking about. It's a simple model that skips past the industry bullshit and cuts to the basics of how to make a good film that people want to watch. I've taken what works with Hollywood, YouTube, and documentaries and blended into one style: hybrid filmmaking. Hybrid is how I've made award-winning feature films, ambitious shorts starring friends and Hollywood actors, and propelled passion projects I could have only dreamed of making. We're gonna be talking about how to become a Swiss Army knife filmmaker. So you'll make a film from start to finish on the budget of under $100 with just tools and resources around you. You guys can sign up to a link below. This will get you access to the course whenever it first drops. It's gonna be a super fun 4 weeks. We're gonna be doing it live and interactive throughout this boot camp, and I promise you, if you follow by every single step, you will have a short film that you can submit to festivals in the span of 1 month. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for watching, listening, and hopefully learning. I hate saying goodbye. It's so hard. So instead, I'm gonna say, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.